I'd like to welcome everyone to our annual report to the public for 2020. It's been a very challenging year. We've done a lot of things differently than we ever thought we would before. This is our opportunity for our principals to take a few minutes and explain some of the things that are going on in their prospective buildings, some of their challenges, and some of the ways that they're trying to deal with those challenges. Before we get started there, I'd like to introduce the board members who are here this evening. On my right is Mr. Jason Ponder. To his right is Mr. Pastor Billy Edgar. To his right is Mr. DJ Collins. And to his right is our president, Mr. Mitchell Archer. We are also joined this evening by our tech department. Our tech coordinator is Mr. Don Hammonds, and our tech consultant is Mr. Dalton Smith. Mitzi Cantrell, our testing coordinator, is also with us this evening. We'd like to begin and kick off our program this evening with Miss Debbie Atkinson. Debbie's our elementary principal. We are also fortunate to have a voice at the state level this year. Debbie is the president of the AAEA. Debbie.
Okay. In elementary, we have 441 students this year. 392 of them are on campus, 49 are virtual. 66% of our students qualify for free and reduced breakfast and lunches. We have 31 full-time elementary certified employees and 22 classified employees. These include 2 in the office, 10 paras, 2 nurses, 5 cafeteria staff, and 3 custodians. District-wide, we share Larry Deere, Mitzi Cantrell, Jean Griffith, Doug Becker, Jeannie Olson, Jolene Harris, Don Hammonds, and Dalton Smith. One of the things Miss A asked us to share is how's it going in our buildings this year? Well, one thing, it's wonderful that we're here and that we have all of our students and our staff here. We have definitely changed the way we do things, and things look a lot different. In elementary, we have many social distancing protocols in place. Our classrooms, we've removed almost everything out of the classrooms except their desk and just a few things that are necessary for them to still feel like they're in school and what they need. Hallways, we have markings on the floor to walk, make sure we're keeping that distance between us. Lunch, we're having students sit facing the same direction, skipping seats. We have made schedules where there's only a grade level in there at a time, so that's helping. Buses and car rider, we have changed, and that might be something that we have actually spread kids. Our kids used to all go into the cafeteria in the mornings when they got here. Now we have students, 3rd and 4th graders are going into the assembly room, 2nd graders are going into the PE room, and kindergarten and 1st graders are going into the cafeteria because we have so many students that are car riders this year and get dropped off before teachers get here. So we're trying to keep the social distancing for all of those students. And then in the afternoon, we've started a different 2 car rider areas to separate. We have 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade going out the front this year and K and 1 going out the back. So we've tried to make sure we don't ever have them crowded up together. We've moved our nurse's office, and in the nurse's office we've created isolation pods so that when she does get students that have fever or COVID symptoms, she can put them in those pods and keep them isolated from other students. We have extra cleaning procedures in place for teachers, custodians. Miss A has bought misters for us. We have hand sanitizing stations everywhere. Kids are washing their hands every time they come or go. Teachers and 4th graders are required to wear a mask, but I also have many other students that wear one. We have masks, shields, gloves for anyone who requests those. We're not allowing any visitors inside the building, so things are very quiet. Teachers are very stressed. The blended learning, virtual learning, and having students in their classroom, it's like they're teaching 3 different classes, and it's difficult on them. They're working really hard, and we are doing Google Classroom, where the students in elementary that are virtual or blended, they are getting the instruction from the classroom. The teachers are posting their lessons, they're posting Zoom meetings, or so if the student comes back to us, they walk into the classroom and it's been a transition. If they've done their work, it's a fairly smooth transition for them to come back into the classroom. Since the beginning of school, 63 students have had to switch to blended learning because of quarantine requirements. That's on top of the virtual students we have. Some of them have just been out a few days, some have been out 14 days, and some have had to quarantine for extended periods of time for COVID situations. Attending to the loss of learning as we expected, our students started the year very behind where they normally are. We spent the first week, I told our teachers, the students haven't been here since March. There's been a lot their families have gone through since then. I don't want us just to start assessing right away. We would need to make sure they're comfortable, make sure they feel safe, make sure that, you build those relationships with them. And then we hit the ground running with assessments and trying to figure out where they were and what they needed. On the sheet that I gave you that's separate, you can see this is a star. This is a screener that we give. Actually, we give it K through, I think all the way up through high school. I'm not sure how far, but you can see last year in the fall when we first gave it, our students overall scored a 61.1. That was the average. Winter, they went up to a 71.8, and then, of course, we didn't get to give the spring one. But when we gave it this fall, we were a 51. You can see quite a difference from last fall when we started to this fall. That was in reading. And then in math, last fall we were 69. Winter, we went up to an 86. And this fall, we were a 58. So, again, quite a bit behind. And our early reading, that's for our non-readers, just learning to read, and that test shows 46. They went up to 72 in the winter last year, but this year they've started at 36. So we're digging out of a hole. So their teachers are working really hard, trying to make up for a whole 9 weeks of learning that we lost last year. We did AMI work, but that wasn't very effective. There was not a lot of accountability for that, and a lot of students did nothing. So one of the things that we've started interventions. A para has been assigned to each grade level to help work with students, to pull those and work with the ones that are really struggling, and to help the teachers manage their struggles with having to teach virtual, blended, and face-to-face. We started with, earlier in the year, we actually had 78 virtual students in elementary. So after parent-teacher conferences and teachers made phone calls, and then Officer Becker and Mr. Didier have started going and making home visits for us, we have dropped to 49. So we're proud to get that many of them back, and hopefully many have indicated that they plan to return at the end of the quarter if we still have not closed down for COVID. That's what a lot of parents have said. They thought we would have closed down, and since we haven't, they think they'll send their students back. Miss A wanted us to share with you how that's going, and really it's not, it's going. We're working really hard to make it successful, but it's hard. Many students aren't doing any work, doing very little work. They're struggling with the technology, or they're struggling with finding the time to do it because their parents work, and they need help. My kids need help. Most of my students can't just sit down at a computer, and my little ones don't even know how to read yet. So it's a struggle. About a third of the 49, I'd say, are on target, and they're doing a pretty good job of keeping their assignments up to date. The other 2/3 are sporadic, and they won't turn in assignments, and they don't answer their phone very, very much either. Officer Becker and Mr. Didier, though, have been helping us, making home visits to encourage them to get their work done or to return to school. And unfortunately, because there's some that just are not doing anything, we've had to start making some hotline phone calls because we don't know what else to do. They need to be learning, and they need to be doing their, so we have started doing that. Technology, all of our students have a device that they can work on while they're at school. Kindergarten and first grade have iPads that are a little older, and they can't just sit down and get into Google Classroom. So we have ordered Chromebooks for them, and like everything else, if you've ever tried to order something in the last few months, it's good luck when it gets here, and who knows when it'll get here. So we do have Chromebooks for them, but if we were to go blended before they get here, we would probably have to do paper packets for kindergarten and first grade, just because they do not have a device that they could easily do Google Classroom. Every second, third, and fourth grader does have a Chromebook, and they are doing something daily in Google Classroom. So if we have to go blended, they will have a device, and they will know how to navigate Google Classroom. We've given all of our virtual students a Chromebook and a hotspot if they needed it, and then we have hotspots for the rest of our families who need one if we do go blended. The CARES Act money, the things that elementary spent their money on, I purchased Chromebooks for all my staff so they could have one to work from home. I purchased Chromebooks for all the virtual students. I purchased plexiglass dividers. I had 8 teachers that asked for one for their desk, so I ordered those. I ordered dividers for their reading tables so they could still have their groups at the table but have the dividers to separate them. The materials for the nurse's office to create isolation pods, and then we put some back to pay our monthly hotspot usage fee that we will have for this school year. So, anyway, any questions? So I think at this time, Jason Keys is going to come up and tell you what's going on in middle school.
So a lot of the stuff is kind of the same as Debbie said, and it's across the district. But middle school, I'll give you our numbers real quick. In middle school, we have 251 face-to-face students on campus, 62 digital students, and this was all as of Tuesday morning. I did not go back and check. We've had a lot of phone calls of kids coming back starting next week, so I did not add those in these numbers, but those numbers will change. And we have 16 total new students who have never been to Bergman before who have moved in. We have a select few. Found this interesting. We have a select few from California and Utah that have come to the area and came to Bergman. Our free and reduced lunch numbers are 58%. We have 21 staff members, 5 paraprofessionals, and then we share staff with high school. So our numbers there will be kind of the same. Dyslexia, Jean Griffith, choir, Darla Martin, band, Dale Hardman, GT, Heather Blackwell, our coaches, James Salitzka and Bo Martin, and then we have one Agri class in middle school, and that is Mr. Clint Simmons teaches that. Our cafeteria staff, we share with high school, and then we have 2 custodians that work full-time in both buildings there, going like that. One of the things that Ms. A had mentioned to kind of bring you guys up to date on is internet connectivity of students. We currently only have 2 students that have not been able to connect with the T-Mobile hotspots we bought with the CARES Act money in the middle school. We've just recently given them a Verizon hotspot that the state has provided for us to see if that can help. One student talking to the parent, she said, we've never had internet out here. To use a cell phone, we have to drive down the road before we can get service. So that may be an issue with that student and that family. If so, we have a plan for that if it comes to that point to do that. Another student, we're not for sure. We think maybe having to connect it, the hotspot just right, or trying to get the password in. We're not sure there, but that's something that can be fixed and worked out. Another thing, some of the stuff that Ms. Atkinson covered is the same thing in middle school, the social distancing in the hallways, in the classrooms, wearing a mask when you can't, and things like that. We have encouraged teachers, if at all possible, to take kids outside for class or take them to a bigger empty area. And we have teachers taking kids outside quite often, actually, for different classes to do different things, whether it's just reading or to actually teach a class. We have a teacher that sits out on the front steps most every afternoon with his classes and teaches his classes from there, where he can spread them out, fresh air, and go that way. STAR data, we talked to, or Ms. Atkinson hit a little bit about that. In middle school, we weren't as bad as what we kind of expected. We were a little different, but not as bad as what we expected in some areas. The reading program, the reading STAR there, or benchmark ACT, we were actually up a little bit, if I'm reading that right. We were up a little bit. And I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but for the past several years, we've been able to get books out, summer reading books, to kids for them to read in the summertime. We did that this year as well with a little challenge. My wife and I loaded up in a vehicle and delivered books and drove all over the place to find kids, and had a great time doing that and getting the books out, and the kids were happy to see us. One thing that Ms. A also requested was the new challenges this year. I emailed this to you guys, the board members. This is my talking points. This is in no order, and it's kind of scattered, so if you're trying to follow along, good luck with that. But I'll fix that up and get it back to you. One of the challenges that we're seeing a lot is trying to get the students out of the mindset of this is like the AMI last year, where it's the paper packets, and if they do them, good. If not, good. So we're trying to get them out of that mindset that they have to do the work because this is their grade. We don't have a third quarter grade to go back on with this. So that is one thing that's been a struggle when kids do have to quarantine or they do have to miss getting the work back. Have an awesome group of teachers that's working real hard to stay on top of that and get the work in. It's just a struggle. You call parents and email parents, and yeah, we'll get on that, and then 3 days later you don't hear anything or get any work back. We do have some students that the digital learning is working out well for them, and the blended learning, when they are missing, they're doing everything, and we are so appreciative of that. Another challenge that I'll throw out is teachers. They're getting, it's a really tiring job, and we've always had teachers that stay late, come early, but more so this year, I've had more staff members staying late and getting here early. I've driven a bus a few times and come in, and there's several teachers in the parking lot already in the building working. They just feel like they have to stay on top of things because the time they're at school with kids is not enough, and then they stay. And then you have teachers that go home and work some more from home. So it's a challenge. It's not just in middle school, it's in every building. And so trying to keep them motivated and keeping them from burnout is a little challenge. They like I said, they've come in early and stayed late, but now since school started, it has been more so than ever before, and they're staying later and coming in earlier. Strategies with these new challenges that we have, contacting students. We can email them, we can call them, send them a text message, do Zooms with them. But one of the things that's probably been the most effective is Officer Becker or Mr. DeDeer loading up and going and knocking on their door and saying, hey, you're not doing this. You need to do this. Can you help us out? That's probably been the best, most effective thing. Mr. Deere was not available the other day, so I went with Officer Becker to a couple of stops. Before I got back to school, the teacher had emailed me or texted me and said they've done a couple of assignments in the last 30 minutes. How did you get a hold of them? So we did make contact. With teachers, the strategies there for the challenges, and I'll say this, and I stole this from Miss Curtis in high school. It's amazing what a Friday afternoon Sonic drink can do when you go pick those up around 2 o'clock and bring those back to the teachers. Just something little like that, you'd thought you'd given them a big raise, and so it was just a good time to do that. Providing breakfast and different things for them, it means a lot to them. The CARES Act money was another thing Ms. A asked us to talk about. In the middle school, we used the CARES Act money to purchase hotspots, Chromebooks, plexiglass for teachers for those who had requested it. And we also bought lanyards, and I'm not wearing one like we have, but a breakaway lanyard. We have 5th and 6th graders that go out to recess, and instead of wadding that up, putting it in their pocket and running with it, getting sweaty and all that stuff, or laying it down in the dirt, it just hangs down like my name tag here. And so that way, if they fall chest first, then yeah, it's going to get dirty, but if they're just out playing, it's not going to be as bad as wadded up in a pocket or anything like that. And I bought these, and several of the teachers liked it, and they have asked for them, and so that has been something that has been good and useful with the CARES Act money. Chromebooks, right now we have, we believe that every student in the middle school has a computer of some sort to work on, whether it's a Chromebook we provided or one that they already had at home that they can use. Ms. Atkinson said we're in the process of ordering more Chromebooks with some money. We're going to get them in. Mr. Don Hammonds has assured me we'll get them in sometime, because it's just that it's schools all across the nation are ordering technology pieces like that. So it's one of those things that we're having to wait on. But that's kind of all I have, unless you would like me to go through and repeat more of what Ms. Atkinson said, because it's kind of the same for the middle school as well. And to save time on that, I will, if you would like me to, but if not, anybody have any questions or anything?
My name is Miss Curtis. I'm the principal for the high school. Many of the things that they have talked about for our COVID procedures are things that we are also doing in high school. You're sitting in one of our classrooms right now. Our fine arts, our gymnasium lobby, and our old main have also been turned into classrooms. We use money from our CARES Act to create these spaces for students. We have purchased room dividers. There's one in the gym lobby that separates over by our concession stand. It's on wheels, so we can pull that in and out with games or open it as needed for fans or crowds to come out. So it's not completely cutting that space off. We've purchased whiteboards for our 3 new classrooms. We had also purchased water bottles like the other 2 schools had, and then I know all 3 of us had purchased water fountain with the water bottle fillers in there. Sorry about that. We have currently 296 students in Bergman High School. Last year we had 319. Face-to-face this year we have 210 students coming to our school every day. We have 86 virtual. It started around 95 students, but we have gained some of those back. We have 23 certified teachers. Some of those are shared with middle school, as Mr. Keys had said previously.
Our classified staff, we have 18. 7 of those are in the lunch lady area or the cafeteria, and they are shared with middle school. The district certified share staff are Mitzi, Larry, Jean, and Heather. And then our classified shared staff, we have 10 of those that we share K-12 with our other classes or other schools. We currently have 25 different opportunities for students to get involved. They're listed as our student activities right there. Some of those are FBLA, FCCLA, FFA. We have student council, which is a very active Key Club, and then all of our sports that we have on our campus. With the CARES Act money, I jumped ahead a little bit earlier, sorry. With our CARES Act money, we have created the classrooms, but then we also purchased 125 of the T-Mobile hotspots, which is where most of the high school's money have went to. We have had to utilize that already this year, or those hotspots this year when we went digital for 2 weeks. Really, it was 9 days. It was a very long 9 days for those students to be at home, and that presented many challenges in and of itself. It was week 3 and 4 of school, and we had previous digital days with our students in class. It's one thing to practice a digital day in class, and it's another thing to get the kids at home to motivate themselves to get it going. We have several new challenges for this school year. Our virtual students, we saw a sudden onset of switching delivery methods in the early weeks of school. This delayed some of our student progress within our virtual program that's called Apex. It takes a lot of time on the back end with our counselor, with Ms. Harris and myself, when students want to change really quick. And I know that's one thing that our governor had put forth that students could do, but there's a lot of things that go on in the office and on the back end that it sounds really easy, oh, just switch them over, but it takes a long time to get that accomplished and to do it correctly. If we switch them over incorrectly, it can cause students to lose out on credits, which we have to have 23 credits for graduation, so that's very important, and we are very cognizant, sorry, I lost my train of thought, on making sure that they have all their credits for graduation. Currently, our virtual students for high school, they're falling behind. It's tough. With our 86 students, Miss Todd has become the senior mentor, Larry Didier has become the junior mentor, and then I've held with 9th and 10th graders. And I call my 9th and 10th graders probably 2 or 3 times a week, talking to their parents, talking to them about getting caught up and working, asking if there's anything I can do. I know Mr. Didier and Ms. Todd have done the same thing. We make contact with them, and then we also send Mr. Didier and Officer Becker. They probably make 5 to 10 home visits a week, easily, at least 10 a week. And that has helped our students, I know, for elementary, middle, and high school, to get those students to come back. Sometimes what's really been effective are just speaking to the parents, because when I call and the parent says, hey, did you do your work? Yeah, I'm doing my work. But when I can physically hand them a piece of paper that shows, oh no, you haven't logged in, you haven't, done your assignments, those home visits, standing on the porches, are really important for our kids and for our students. And I appreciate Mr. Didier, and I know Coach Keys has went, and Officer Becker, because we don't all have time to get out there and stand on porches, but they do, and we're so thankful for them. Our teachers, much like middle school and elementary teachers, they need more time that we can't always provide. There are struggles for them. They work so hard. My teachers are working so hard. And even though when we had our 9 days off, it would be very easy to think that they had 9 days off. But y'all, they posted videos, activities, lessons, and then they had to go back and grade those all digitally, because all of my teachers don't have a printer at home to print those papers out and put them down here and grade. They were doing that on a computer screen, and that takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time, and it's very easy to overlook that aspect and say, well, they had time, they were at home. Yes, they were at home, but they worked like crazy to get those things accomplished, and they've done a fantastic job of it. I'm in over 100 Google Classrooms that I have virtually went in and looked and looked for their activities and their videos and their lessons, and they're there, and they're working so hard, and I appreciate them so much for doing that. You know, they need more time for posting to Google Classroom, the grading homework, the late homework, makeup homework. You know, when you have 15 to 20 students who are in quarantine for a time and they come back and they hand you this stack of makeup work, well, the teacher has to grade that, and it takes an incredible amount of time, and that's for all of our classrooms and all of our buildings. I just would like to close by saying my teachers have worked so hard and put forth so many hours outside of school, and I'm so proud of their hard work and determination to make this a successful year. And they've exceeded every single expectation I have had of them or could dream of during a global pandemic. And I hope moving forward we can make it better. We can make everything we do, we can refine it, we can have our school become the best at digital learning. And I'm so proud to work with the principals and Ms. A and everyone in this room, and then my teachers as well at Bergman High School. Yes.
How much CARES Act money did you get to divide between the three campuses?
Bergman School District received $144,000 in CARES Act money. Now, from that top number, about $24,000 was held back for the PPEs that we had to purchase. So the remainder of that money was taken and divided out. Miss Debbie Atkinson is going to talk to us just a little bit more. She's also our federal programs coordinator.
So we just wanted to share with you the money that we receive. Title I, Title I-D, and Title II are federal funds that come to us nationally. And the ESSA, ALE, Professional Development, and ELL funds they are state categorical funds. You've heard us talk about ACCIP, and you approved that budget, but we just wanted to kind of go over a little bit more exactly what we do with those funds. Title I, you can see we received $206,247.04, and of that, salaries and benefits are paid of $152,129.47. The remainder of that money pays a stipend for me as being federal coordinator. And then we put some money back for homeless. That's a requirement that we have students that need certain things, and we can use this money to help them with like eyeglasses or going to an eye doctor. And then the rest of that money is divided between the three buildings. And this year pretty much that money is going to purchase Chromebooks. The Title I-D, that money is for the ranch, used to be called Arkansas Baptist Boys Ranch, now is called Arkansas Baptist Children's Home. It is a foster facility instead of a delinquent facility like it has been in the past. And the money that we have there, the $25,361, is carryover that we received when it was the Boys Ranch. And so we are just spending the carryover that was left. We do not have a new allocation for that for this year. Title II is money that we can spend on professional development, $33,270. The ESSA money, ESSA and Title I and actually Title II are based on our free and reduced lunch count. That's why it's so important we encourage everybody to fill out their free and reduced lunch forms, because the funding that we get is based on how many free and reduced lunch children that we have. So the ESSA funds, $345,507.32. You can see the salaries paid, $205,000. $305. We also pay for the preschool class out of this money this year, and the remainder is divided 3 ways again, and again, we are spending all of it is pretty much in the fund to pay for technology this year. ALE, $106,257. Salaries and benefits is $97,331, and then the remainder we use to purchase materials for the ALE classroom. This year we only have ALE in middle school and high school. We do not have an ALE in elementary. Professional development money, $42,532, is divided 3 ways, and we use that for all the things that our teachers need training in. And then the ELL, the English language learners, I think I have a ELL from $1,838. We don't have any students. Last year I think we had 1, or 2, so we got a little bit of money, and this year that money is in there, but we probably will not spend it because we do not have any students this year that are ELL. So this is our federal funds and state categoricals. Do we have any questions about it? Thank you.
One of the things I did want to follow up on something that Ms. Atkinson said, we were very fortunate this year that the USDA and the federal government came along, and they're allowing everyone at our school to eat breakfast and lunch free until December 31st. Now, at that time, if there's more money available, they may or may not choose to continue that. That's a great thing. One of the bad side effects from that, though, is that there were a lot of people who probably would have qualified for free and reduced lunches who thought, okay, everybody's getting free and reduced lunches, so I don't need to fill out my application. So if there's anyone who hasn't filled out an application yet, who thinks, hey, I might qualify for free and reduced lunches, even though they're free right now, if you would go ahead and do that, that would be helpful for our school, because as Ms. Atkinson just said, a lot of our federal funding and some of our state categorical funding is based on how many students that we have that are qualified for free and reduced lunches. Are there any questions about anything anybody said this evening? Maybe we can clear up. Lots of information this evening. Lots of new kinds of information this evening in our report to the public, because this has been a year like no other. If nobody has any questions, we'll go ahead and sign off right now. If you do think of a question of some sort and you're just curious and you'd like to know more about something, you can give me a call in the superintendent's office or give one of the principals a call in their office. Thank you so much for your continued support of our school.